Point Park men's basketball claims the RSC championship in thrilling fashion, while the women's team makes the conference semifinal. Men's and women's track and field return home from nationals, and baseball and softball begin conference play. The Penguins' struggles continue, the Pirates keep going yard in the Florida sun, and Suga Sean keeps his crown. And what has a surprise in the NFL free agency signings? It's time to come on down to the Pioneer Sideline. Hello everyone and welcome back to Pioneer Sideline. I'm your host, Natalia Hillen. The Point Park University men's basketball team has been crowned the 2023-2024 River States Conference champions. Last Tuesday, #1 seed Point Park University hosted the RSC men's basketball championship at CCAC Allegheny against #2 seed St. Mary of the Woods. The matchup was extremely close, but the Pioneers ended up getting the win with a final score of 76-75. This wasn't just a normal game. This was a championship game and Point Park's biggest audience yet. Point Park students, staff, and faculty came out to support the Pioneers on their big night. It was the biggest showing of the year. Key players of the game were Joe Valerie with 21 points and Jalen Stamps with 14 points and 4 assists. Nazareth Fisher got 10 points and 13 rebounds. Nate Van and Jameson Smith both got 12 points apiece. For the Pomeroys, the key game leaders were Kobe Barnes and Greg Jenkins, who each scored 19 points, and Sean Topola, who got 11 rebounds and blocked 5 shots. For the first half and several minutes into the second half, St. Mary of the Woods had most of the control. The Pomeroys had their biggest lead, 8:53, before the half at 29-17. At the start of the second half, St. Mary of the Woods got the first 2 buckets. Approaching the 15 mark, the Pomeroys were up 53-42. After this point, the Pioneers started picking things up with consistent scoring and stops of defense, and ended up leading after getting a few inside buckets. It was 74-67 with 4:48 left on the clock. PPU's biggest lead of the night was after Stamps found Valerie for a jumper. The score at this point was 76-68. Everything came down to one moment. The final play, St. Mary of the Woods had the final shot to take home the win. The score was 76-75. All the Pomeroys needed were 2 points to get it. Just before the buzzer, Point Park made a final defensive stand to get the win, 76-75. It was a surreal matchup, and to be a part of the live broadcast was a moment I will never forget. Point Park celebrated its first conference postseason title in 17 years. This is the first one since joining the RSC in 2011-2012. Going into the NAIA National Championship matchup, the Pioneers are 29-2 overall and 15-2 in the River States Conference. PPU is gearing up for their first matchup of the NAIA Men's Basketball National Championship. A 64-team bracket is spread across 16 sites for the first and second rounds. The Pioneers were drawn as the #8 seed in the Henderson, Tennessee region. They will go head-to-head with #9 seed Texas College on Friday, March 15th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. All of the winners on March 15th will go head-to-head on Saturday, March 16th, in the second round tipping off at 4 p.m. From there, the winner of that matchup will move on to the NAIA National Championship final site that will be held March 21st through the 26th in Kansas City, Missouri. PPU is ranked number 15 in the NAIA Top 25 poll and has been in the rankings since December. Congratulations to all of the men's team on these great accomplishments. To stay up to date on the latest news, make sure to follow Point Park Sports on Instagram and tune into the stats on pointparksports.com. Good luck, Pioneers. After the break, we recap the women's basketball team, the track meet, and baseball games from this past weekend. Don't go anywhere.
Take them cue and open their mics.
Today marked the 1-year anniversary of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette strike. Park University just hosted a campus-wide meeting.
Plans for the rapid transit bus line are not set to conclude until 2025.
Welcome back. Switching things over to the Point Park women's basketball team, as they have had a wonderful and strong season. After the Pioneers beat St. Mary of the Woods in the quarterfinals with a score of 97-81, this clinched them a spot in the semifinal matchup against Oakland City. Unfortunately, number 6 seed Point Park University's playoff run came to an end against number 2 seed Oakland City with a final game score of 55-74. The key players of the game were Gabby Legister with 12 points and 12 rebounds, Alexis Giles with 12 points, Achada Bala with 16 points, and Ari Blada with 8 points, tied for a team high of 12 boards. Oakland City's Emily Hope got 18 points and 4 trays. She had a pair in the first couple of minutes to get the Mighty Oaks off to a great start. Oakland City shot 36% of the game, and Point Park shot 34% of the game. Now let's send things over to Gabe Ebersol to recap the track team's results at the NAIA Indoor Championship. Gabe?
Thanks, Nat. Indoor track season is finished up and our Point Park track athletes went out with a bang. A select few athletes qualified to compete in the NAIA Indoor Track and Field National Championships that took place at the Sanford Jackrabbit Complex in Brookings, South Dakota over the Pioneers spring break. Our women's team had 4 qualified this year, 3 of them earning the NAIA Top 25 status and 3 of them making their NAIA national debut as individuals. Kicking things off with Sideline's own Natalia Hillen. Hillen is a senior who competed in the 60-meter hurdles and placed 27th in the NAIA. This was her second time qualifying as an individual and third time competing in nationals overall. She ran a time of 9.04 seconds. Also competing was senior Allison Placio, who qualified in the 1,000 meters. Placio came in 14th, running 30 minutes and 1.32 seconds. She was just under 5 seconds away from making it into the top 8 of finals, which would have given her NAIA All-American status. Junior Sophia Lee Hauser was the highest finisher for the day. She placed 13th in the country for the 3,000-meter race walk. This was her first nationals appearance, and she had a time of 17 minutes and 28.61 seconds. Finally, freshman Emma Romer competed in the long jump and placed 23rd in the country. She had a leap of 5.18 meters, and her season best of 5.52 meters was just 0.02 away from making the finals top 9. Congratulations, ladies. Now, moving on to our men's team, they had 6 men qualify, and it was a really great meet from freshman Akeem Mustafa, who became an NAIA All-American in the long jump. Mustafa placed 6th with his leap of 7.31 meters. His jump was just 3 centimeters off of the school record of 7.34 meters. Junior Elijah James made his second straight NAIA Nationals appearance in the 600 meters. He PR'd with his time of 1 minute and 20.95 seconds, giving him 17th in the country. He also finished second in his heat and was just 0.89 seconds away from advancing to the finals in the top 8. Also competing was freshman Cody Quimby, who placed 12th in the 3,000-meter race walk. He was the first national qualifier for Point Park in that event and had a time of 14 minutes, 46.79 seconds. He also holds the school record in this event. Freshman Kanye Mills competed in the 60-meter hurdles and ran a time of 8.41 seconds during his prelims, placing 31st, and he holds the school record of 8.23 seconds that he set earlier this year. Yannick Windelband competed in the 1,000 meters, his second appearance individually, but was later disqualified in this event. His school record would have put him just outside the top 10 score-wise. Finally, sophomore Siobhan Fletcher qualified in weight throw. His mark of 19.65 meters is the school record and was his qualifying mark. However, he had 3 fouls for his attempts. Indoor track season is done, but outdoor is just beginning. We're so proud of all our track and field athletes and all they've accomplished during the indoor season and can't wait to see how they do during outdoors. Now, let's send things to Bryn Reeves for an update on baseball and softball teams to start the RSC play. Bryn?
Thanks, Gabe. Point Park baseball and softball is underway as the teams begin RSC matchups. To start, baseball impressively swept the IUPUC Crimson Pride this week in Indiana. The Pioneers opened with an 11-4 win after accumulating 13 total hits and forcing 4 errors from IUPUC. Omar Murillo went 5 for 6 from the plate with 1 RBI. Starter Javier Cardoso earned the win in 7 innings pitched, giving up only 4 hits and 1 earned run. He also threw 8 strikeouts. Game 2 ended 12-6 after an explosive offensive performance from the Pioneers. Christian Taveras, Chris Williams, Luis Gonzalez, Carlos Burrows, and Carlos Martinez each hit home runs. Additionally, Macaulay Brito hit 2 doubles. Reliever Jose Moreno earned the win, pitching 2 innings and giving up only 1 hit. Game 3 ended in Point Park's favor once again with a 14-3 final score. The Eagles had 13 errors, allowing the Pioneers to pull ahead in the later innings. The Pioneers combined for 12 hits, including doubles from Isaac Santana and a home run from Jared Campbell. Starter Ramon Rodriguez earned the win with 12 strikeouts. He gave up 3 hits and 3 runs in 5 innings. The series win ties Point Park for first in the RSC with a 5-1 conference record. The team is on a 5-game winning streak and is 11-7 overall. Switching gears to softball, the Pioneers traveled to Kentucky on Monday to face Alice Lloyd. The women fell to the Eagles in Game 1, 7-3, but the Pioneers won Game 2, 5-2. The team is now 1-1 in the RSC with a 5-5 overall record. Stay tuned for more RSC updates next week as baseball takes on Midway and softball takes on WVU Tech. Good luck, Pioneers. Back to you, Nat.
Thanks, Gabe and Bryn. After the break, we hear about the rest of the sports world from this past week. Don't go anywhere.
Crowd.
Welcome back. Now I'll be sending things over to Faith Miller for all things locally. Faith?
Thanks, Nat. The Pittsburgh Pirates are back working out in Bradenton, Florida for spring training. The Bucks lead the league in home runs this season with a total of 31. On the downside, second baseman Ji-Hwan Bae is dealing with a hip injury that has kept him off the field since March 5th. Hopefully, Bae will be back for the regular season, which starts April 5th. Third baseman Ke'Bryan Hayes has had a great spring training so far, putting up 3 home runs and a batting average of .409. The Pirates' bullpen has also been looking very promising, with pitchers Luis Ortiz, Jose Hernandez, Paul Skeens all having great games. The Pirates face the Toronto Blue Jays Wednesday afternoon in Dunedin, in which will hopefully be another win for the Bucks. Moving on to hockey, are the Pittsburgh Penguins done for the season? The Penguins have not looked good the past few weeks. They lost 4-3 against Calgary, a game which they had the lead the majority of the game. They then lost 6-1 against Edmonton, 6-0 against Washington, 5-1 against Boston, and recorded another loss against Edmonton, with the final score being 4-0. Whatever the Pens are doing, it's clearly not working. To add more misery for Pens fans, the team announced forward Jake Gensel was traded to the Carolina Hurricanes. The trade included Carolina getting Jake Gensel and defenseman Ty Smith, while the Penguins get forward Michael Bunting, forward Ville Kuvanen, forward Vasily Ponomarev, forward Cruz Lucius, a conditional 2024 first-round pick, a 2024 fifth-round pick, and a 25% retain of Gensel's contract. The Penguins also traded defenseman Chad Ruedel to the Rangers for a 2027 fourth-round pick. The Penguins now sit at 28, 27, and 8 with 19 games left in the season. They are currently sitting 8 points from a playoff spot. They play the Senators in Ottawa Tuesday, and hopefully they can leave with a point or two. That's all from me on everything happening locally this week. Now I'll send things over to John Mayer to recap us all the recent Steelers signings as free agency begins. John?
Thanks, Faith. Steelers country, let's ride. 9-time Pro Bowl quarterback and Super Bowl champion Russell Wilson is officially Pittsburgh bound, signing with the Steelers on a 1-year deal worth $1.2 million, the NFL veteran minimum. While the Steelers will only have to pay Russ the veteran minimum, Denver will still be paying Wilson $38 million for this upcoming season due to the money owed from the last contract he signed with the Broncos. The Steelers and general manager Omar Khan weren't done after landing Russell Wilson, as the team made another blockbuster signing, stealing linebacker Patrick Queen away from the rival Ravens. Pittsburgh signed Queen to a 3-year, $41 million contract. The Steelers even filled their void at punter after cutting Presley Harvin, signing former Texans punter Cameron Johnston to a 3-year deal, $9 million contract. After landing a Super Bowl winning quarterback in Russell Wilson and an all-pro linebacker in Patrick Queen, the Steelers are making some big-time moves in free agency after making the playoffs at 10-7 with both major holes at the quarterback and linebacker positions, which have now been filled after the signings of Wilson and Queen. Don't be surprised if the Steelers are once again contending for the Lombardi Trophy once again this upcoming season. That's all for me this week. Be sure to follow @SteelersFan7 to stay up to date on all things free agency and off-season. Now let's send things to Matt Palangi to recap us on everything happening nationally. Matt?
Thanks, John. As the biggest tournament in college is approaching, the men's college basketball season is in conference championship form. In the current day of filming, championship games are live. Two nationally ranked teams in Gonzaga and St. Mary's will face off for the West Coast Conference Tournament Championship. The unbelievable season for James Madison continues as the 32-3 team won the Sun Belt Conference. Samford won the Southern bracket, beating out ETSU with a score of 76-69. Morehead State came out on top in the Ohio Valley Tournament. Drake University closely beat Indiana State in the Missouri Valley Tournament to secure their rings with a score of 84-80. Longwood beat UNC Asheville in the Big South Tournament. Finally, Stetson won the ASUN bracket. Although some of these teams may be seeded low, winning these brackets secure these teams into the big dance with hopes of earning their one shining moment. On to the women's side, record-breaking Caitlin Clark not only has the all-time scoring record in college basketball for men's and women's, she took her Iowa Hawkeyes to 3 straight Big Ten victories. Clark only had 4 points at halftime against Nebraska, but a late comeback and a flurry of points led Iowa to hoist their banner. UConn is back in business as they went on to win the Big East tournament and reserve a top seed in the Big Dance. In a low-scoring 55-51 affair, Notre Dame notched a victory over NC State in the Alley ACC tournament. Undefeated South Carolina had a tough brawl with LSU. By brawl, I literally mean brawl, as a fight broke loose and several players were ejected. South Carolina would win this game over Van Lith and Angel Reese to mark themselves again as the top team in the country. USC bested Stanford to win the Pac-12 with a final score of 74-61. All these winners secured their spot in the Big Dance. Now let's swing on over to the recent highlight card of UFC 299. Sugar Sean O'Malley won his first ever bantamweight title defense in a unanimous decision victory over Marlon Vera. Dustin Poirier came into his match as an underdog, but a good left hand knocked out Benoit St. Denis in the second round. Michael Venom Page made his UFC debut with a unanimous decision victory over Kevin Holland. Page's resume was built before the UFC with his 10-time kickboxing titles and his 22-2 MMA record, with big plans coming from him to make a name of himself in the UFC. The most brutal loss of the night came from Gilbert Burns, who got rocked with a knee from up-and-coming welterweight star Jack Della Maddalena. Now let's kick off the NFL free agency recap, highlighting this incredible running back market. King Derrick Henry has signed a 2-year deal with the AFC runner-ups, the Baltimore Ravens. Saquon Barkley leaves the Giants but stays in the NFC East with his new deal to join the Philadelphia Eagles. The Giants would follow this up by replacing Saquon with Devin Singletary. Pretty quality exchange if you ask me. In an absolute shocker, Josh Jacobs leaves Vegas to join the Packers out of nowhere. Then the Packers would release Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones would learn from Saquon and stay in his division but join the Vikings. Joe Mixon says bye to Cincy but joins C.J. Stroud with the Texans. Tony Pollard would dip out of Dallas and head over to the Titans to become Henry's replacement. Austin Eckler would join the NFC East and become a Washington Commander. There was even more running back deals such as Zach Moss to Cincy and Gus Edwards to the Chargers, but let's look at other big signings such as Captain Big Chains Kirk Cousins joining the Falcons on a 4-year deal to be their starting quarterback. Atlanta would also sign Bears receiver Darnell Mooney to a 3-year, $39 million deal. Stud defensive edge rusher Brian Burns heads over to the New York Giants on a 5-year, $150 million deal. Star defensive lineman Christian Wilkins joins Vegas on a 4-year, $110 million deal. The highlight of free agency so far may be the Dallas Cowboys, who signed nobody, being the only team to do so. Signings are happening at what seems like every minute, so keep checking and see what else is happening, because I'd be here all day if I went through every good signing. That's all for me. Now let's send it back to Nat at the desk.
Thanks, guys. After the break, we discuss our surprises in the NFL free agency signings. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Case of the Week. This week I'm joined by Matt, Faith, and Peyton. The NFL free agency hot stove has been on fire this week with signings, so let's discuss our thoughts thus far. So Matt, let's get started with you. What do you think is the biggest surprise of the free agency so far?
I would say I knew Christian Wilkins was going to leave Miami, but like going to Vegas was a little questionable. I mean, I guess he did for the money, which sometimes that happens in free agency. I think the Packers were kind of boneheaded with their decision to upgrade at running back by a tiny bit, but get 12 mil hit in the cap space. That came out of nowhere, that Josh Jacobs signing. So I'd probably say that was the biggest surprise to me, was just like focusing on something that they didn't really need to improve. So I would say probably the Josh Jacobs, the Packers signing.
Faith?
I was more surprised by Derrick Henry going to the Baltimore. I thought that was definitely one of the biggest surprises for me. And then that event, I think, eventually led to the Steelers getting Patrick Queen. So I didn't see that coming at all.
And talking about the Steelers, in free agency, they don't normally, in the past, haven't gone after the biggest names. And Sunday night, boom, Russell Wilson. What? Patrick Queen. Holy crap,
Yeah.
And I think getting Queen for that nice of a deal they got him pretty cheap, considering like what his market value could have been. And that solidifies that front seven against Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry twice a year. And I think Derrick Henry is an excellent fit. And I think the running back market going off so quickly as it did was surprising, because in the past these running backs have held out to get these larger contracts, but running backs' values have gone down in recent years.
Another one that I'm not going to go in more in depth with, but like Joe Mixon, like just kind of came out of nowhere, so that one also surprised me a little bit.
And only for a seventh.
Yeah, that was
crazy.
crazy.
Surprised by that. And Joe Mixon has a lot in the tank yet, and I think the Texans they signed. We just heard recently they signed Daniil Hunter.
Yeah, the
So
Texans
the
signed
Texans
Daniil
are going to
Hunter,
be even better with a great quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll definitely contend for the AFC title, I think, next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, who do we think is the best signing thus far?
I honestly might say Daniil Hunter. I mean, he was just top 5 in sacks, and he goes to Houston for a pretty okay deal. It's so hard to say best sign. There's been a lot of good ones. I think the Falcons did really, really well getting a new QB, focusing on that. I think they overpaid Darnell Mooney a little bit, because he really hasn't done much the last couple of years. When he was the wide receiver 1, he didn't do much. So I think they overpaid him. Kirk Cousins, 4 years is a little crazy, but I do think filling out that quarterback position is something that they needed to do. So I would say the Kirk Cousins deal is
winning quarterback, a 9-time Pro Bowler. I mean, it's the craziest QB signing in free agency we've ever seen.
That was a big deal too,
Yeah.
everywhere. I mean, all Steelers fans.
And that set the market for all the other quarterbacks. Once like Russell went, everyone else went, except for Justin Fields, which we don't know what's happening
the
there.
Bears are
but
stupid. I was going to say that's
crazy.
surprised. They're so dumb. They just let the whole QB market get filled up and didn't make a move with Fields. So he's going to have fun. I don't know. In Japan or something. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I would agree with you about Kirk Cousins. I'm going to say right now that Atlanta is the favorite to win that division.
I agree,
know
100%.
Baker. I think Baker's going to pull back a little this year. They're leaving Dave Canales. He had that good connection there. Now that Baker's paid, does he have that same chip on his shoulder? I think Atlanta has great young pieces on offense, and their defense did improve. And I like the Raheem Morris hire. I think Zach Robinson, he comes from the McVay coaching tree as an offensive coordinator. He's going to keep Kirk Cousins back to, because in the beginning of the year last year, before Cousins tore his Achilles, he was, killing it, really statistically.
Very good.
So Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Kirk Cousins, I like them to win the NFC South.
That's
next
another
year.
question with Kirk, though. Like, since that injury, is that going to affect his, progress
He
with
has a
Atlanta?
really bad resume of like big games, which like kind of scares me a little bit
Yeah.
for Atlanta, because like that's kind of what they need, is a guy that could take them there. They had that with Matt Ryan, and then Matt Ryan like just stunk it up. Like played that team played the worst second half of football I've ever seen in my life. But like in reality, that team is easily the favorite to win the South. I actually don't think it's that close, simply because the one thing they needed was a new head coach. Arthur Smith coached the worst season I've ever seen in my life. They have two guys that were drafted top 10, and those guys looked like they were water boys out there. Bijan did nothing. He didn't get the ball as much as he should. Every time Tyler Algier went into the game, you knew that they were just running the ball. They should be the favorite to win the South, and I do think that Cousins signing was huge for them, for
And
sure.
the NFC is so much weaker in terms of quarterbacks
Now, yes,
and
easily.
teams, right? So that Atlanta could be 10-7 and have a chance to maybe make a run in to an NFC championship or something like
Yeah.
that.
Lastly, what are some moves that you guys want your favorite teams to make? moving forward?
If we're starting with me, I have one word, somebody, because I'm a Cowboys fan, and we have signed no one except re-signing our long snapper, which, cool deal. He was a pretty good long snapper, I guess. But I would say the running back market's dead. That's what we needed. We lost Tony Pollard. Cowboys lost Pollard, so they really nothing right now. Joe Mixon went, Aaron Jones went. Those were the guys I had hoped for. Maybe Derrick Henry, shoot, if I wake up, Jerry Jones doesn't do anything. I guess sign something. Give me some hope, because they just lost three players to the Commanders, 3 starters. They lost Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler, and Tyler Biazza, 3 all-starters for us, and Tyler Biazza was a Pro Bowl center. Like, we lost literally everyone to the Commanders and got nothing in exchange. We even lost our defensive coordinator to be their head coach. So I'm hoping the Cowboys just put down the pen and sign someone. Like, I'm tired of seeing these free agency reports, and I just need to see a Cowboys star under one of them, like, at one point.
Yeah, he's not leaving
I
your
think
team.
A.J. Dillon.
what I'm saying.
A.J. Dillon to the Cowboys could make sense.
Oh, yippee.
I
won't
mean,
even help.
they need someone to start at running back.
I
so-
realistically think I'd rather have Rico Dowdle be our RB1 than A.J. Dillon.
And how about who's the small guy? Who
Deuce
played
Vaughn?
Deuce Vaughn.
Hey, he's good. He was good in college, but like he averaged like 1 yard a carry last year, so I don't know. But
I would love to see the Steelers grab a safety for Minka Fitzpatrick. I think Simmons in Denver is still available. I'd love to see them grab them, but literally any safety, because all the centers pretty much went. They were looking at the one from Buffalo, but he went, and they just need some sort of DB to get in there and then draft some more.
Steelers, I would agree, sit back into the defense. Safety, corner. I'm not sure what corners are available.
One thing I was thinking of was Trey White, but like just a veteran, like good
I would
man-to-man
absolutely
coverage.
love that.
I was thinking Trey White
Yeah.
to the Steelers would be a huge deal for you guys.
They could re-sign Steven Nelson, but
Oh,
I don't think.
yippee.
Yeah, I don't think.
I don't think he wants to go on the Steelers.
No,
again.
I think Steven Nelson. I was looking at free agents. I can't remember. A lot of them have gone off the board. But yeah, I would say corner and safety.
I was hearing something, I could be wrong, about them getting Patrick Peterson back on a lower deal. I know they just released him, but they were talking about it.
Yeah, but if they saw Patrick Peterson played better at safety last year than corner, I would not want him back at corner.
No.
He was not very good at corner.
And he won't play safety. That man would rather play somewhere else than play
Yeah.
safety. It's just like, I don't know. The Steelers have potential of moves to make, but the Patrick Queen one, I would say that was one of the best deals so far in free agency and definitely the best for the Steelers.
All right, guys, well, we're going to have to see what other moves are going to be made. Thank you. And that's all the time that we have this week. Be sure to join us next week at the same Pioneer time, the same Pioneer channel, and the same Pioneer Sideline.